What up, everybody? Welcome to Legacy TV and the Convo Podcast. And you guys know we are on a roll here. I've been honored since I've started this thing to be able to have such amazing legends of mixed martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu on the show. And we've been probably one of the only podcasts that have had everybody in studio. And actually, you get to see them there instead of a phone call, which to me, it makes it a lot more authentic. And so today, it's a huge honor for me to have somebody I grew up kind of hearing stories about, watching on the TV, somebody that is a coral belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, somebody who was a Jiu-Jitsu world champion, somebody who was a UFC champion, the first Brazilian to ever actually get the UFC belt. We have Murilo Bustamante, and also the owner of BTT, Brazilian Top Team. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for the invitation. My pleasure to be here. So it's good to have you. We pride ourselves here on telling the story, the history. Sometimes with all the new MMA, people forget or people don't even know where it came from. So my thing is let's tell these stories. Let's the sport that you guys love so much, find out how it became what it is today. So let's start with, take me back. You grew up in Brazil. Yeah, born and raised in Brazil.
What part of Brazil?
Rio de Janeiro.
Rio de Janeiro.
Yeah, it was where the city and state that jiu-jitsu developed, in the country. The main city was Rio de Janeiro. And I born there. My first sport was soccer, like all kids in Brazil.
Did you live in a nice area?
Yeah, I live in a nice area, but studying very good schools. So
And you did well. You did well in school.
Yeah, I did well in school. My family was okay. So.
That's good. That's good to hear because so many stories of MMA. The guys, his dad was gone. Yeah. It's cool to hear some. You had a good family, a good upbringing. You lived in a good area.
Yeah.
So this wasn't something where you had to do.
Yeah, I had a very good education. I have some family issues because my father drinks a lot, so it makes. Break a little bit the balance of the family. I became a kid a little bit insecure and super shy, and jiu-jitsu was the tool that helped me to
change. Murilo, let's talk about that because that's a big thing that you just brought up. You said your dad was an alcoholic.
Yes, he was.
I think alcohol, I drank for a long time. I drank for 10 years. And I saw it start to ruin me and ruin my relationships and ruin the person I was supposed to be. And, June of this year will be 2 years I quit drinking.
Oh, congratulations.
And it's the best decision I ever made in my life. So with that being said, because I noticed the difference in my life, can you speak a little bit about, being a child, the effect that seeing your dad as an alcoholic had on you? Like, what was he? Was he violent? Was he?
No, he wasn't violent. He was
just drunk all the time.
Drunk a lot in the certain part of his life. He was already, with some problems he was architecture. He specialist in PhD in calculation of concrete. So he was his mind was brilliant,
Smart guy.
Yeah, super intelligent, but destroy his career completely,
The alcohol.
So, yeah, and my mother
divorced a certain time. She couldn't handle anymore.
Was he like drinking all day type thing?
Sometimes he just disappeared 3 days drinking, 2 days
like
off
that.
the house, and so, and it was changed the balance of the family, so
Did your mom move?
affect the family, of course, and it was very bad. I stopped talking to my father from 18 to 28 years old. So
From 18 to 28?
Yeah,
10 years.
not
Wow.
talking to my father, and I just returned because he got cancer, and then I went to, I returned the relationship with him before he passed away. But after that, I think he passed away. I was already 30 years old. So after I returned to speak to him, he passed away 2 years after. So
Wow, it's good that you were able to
yeah, it was
reconcile.
good because it was important.
Alcohol.
So because I was already a man,
A man.
so I could understand better his problem was about the family, about himself. Alcohol is people that cannot handle the alcohol. It affects their lives a lot.
It ruins a lot of people's lives.
100%. If you don't, it ruined my father's life a certain time because he passed. The end of his life, he didn't have money anymore. He was a very good professional, but he's destroyed his career with alcohol.
It's terrible.
So
it's terrible. It's a good lesson for you.
Yes,
I tell my
yes.
son. My son's, this is a crazy story for you guys. One of my son's friends a couple days ago goes to his friend's house and they're playing, and I guess the dad leaves a gun on the counter.
Wow.
They get the gun, and these 3 kids are playing with the gun.
Oh my God.
They take the bullets out, they leave 1 bullet in the gun, and they start playing Russian roulette.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
My son's friend, when it's his turn, the gun goes off, kills him.
Oh my God, crazy.
Crazy. Rest in peace, and condolences to the family. I wanted to say that.
That's sad.
But to me, I'm like, as a father, what can I tell my son when he's in tears like that? So I took it. I went to his room and I sat down and I told him, I said, son, you're going to see a lot of things like this in your lifetime. A lot of bad things you're going to see. It's just the way life is. It's the truth. You can't hide from it. But let it be a teachable moment for you. Let it be a teachable moment by you see what happened when you played with guns. Don't let that happen to you. So let that teach you the lessons that even though they hurt, let them teach you a little bit. So for you seeing that as growing up, having a dad that was drinking, I'm sure it had a little bit of effect on you. You may not drink at all, or if you drink,
I drink socially, but I quit a couple of years ago. I spent three years till last Christmas not drinking. I just returned to drink because I got a little bit of fat in my liver. Not that
Fatty
bad.
liver.
Yeah, but not that bad. I could keep drinking. It wouldn't affect me, but I decided to stop and
Good.
I cleaned my liver completely.
Good. Yeah.
So then I drank a little bit New Year's Eve with my family. But now I stop again. But I drink socially. Most socially, I don't drink that much. I know that drugs and alcohol, the bad they can do for people
life,
in general.
yeah, absolutely.
For your life, so.
I believe a lot of people make a lot of mistakes that they regret behind alcohol. I believe a lot of people are in jail and in prison for long times of their life because they were under the influence of alcohol and made a lot of stupid mistakes.
Crimes, a lot of crimes.
So for me, I don't even drink socially because I can't. If I drink socially, it'll be every day.
Yeah.
There's some people like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure your father was like that.
Yes.
He couldn't just have a drink once a week because I know I can't.
Yeah.
So it's I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. So your dad and your mom, they split up. You're playing soccer. You're doing well in school.
Yeah, and I was a surfer. I followed the steps of my older brothers, and they start surfing, and then I start surfing as well, and then start training, and then follow the path and start training.
What makes you start training?
Because my older brothers, they train, and I used to go. I went to the tournament when I was 10 years old.
Jiu-jitsu tournament?
Jiu-jitsu tournament to saw they fighting, and I saw Hollis Grace fighting, and as a black belt. And I saw Rickson Grace as a purple belt.
Oh, wow.
So it was...
Were they famous at that time?
Yeah, but not for me. It was very small in Rio. Jiu-jitsu was very small sport. Just a few people practicing for accident. My brothers started to do it. They start to do something. And then I started to do as well. And then I used to compete in surfing. But I wasn't that good competing. I was better surfing, in the everyday, like surfing.
Just for fun,
hobby.
Just
for fun, hobby, surfing better than in competitions.
Yeah, you got to have something you like to do, right?
And then I start training more and more, and then I start to compete when I was around 16 years old. And in jiu-jitsu. And then I kind of found myself, was something that for a very insecure and shy kid, I did great. I won, all the tournaments that
it's those insecure, shy kids that become the toughest guys on the mat. To be honest with you, So you took that and you turned it into something which is beautiful, which is what jiu-jitsu does for a lot of people, right? I mean, it if you look at it, I tell people all the time, me, I look a little bit different. When I go to places, people look at me kind of, a little bit nervous, but I have that look. But a lot of people that do jiu-jitsu, you go somewhere and you don't know that guy can rip you apart. You know what I mean? They don't look the part, so it's
my performance used to be better in competitions than in
the class.
In the class, so
you would turn it up.
Yeah, always like that. Even till now.
You start competing at 16.
Yeah, 16.
And so at that time in Brazil,
15 to 16, something like that.
Yeah. Were you winning medals at that time? Were you?
Yes, medals like a blue belt, juvenile. And then, I start to compete all tournaments, and then, like in blue belt, I lost 2 fights only by points. And I won the most of tournaments. All tournaments I was on the podium, first to second. And I won, the most of them.
I forgot to ask you, I'm sorry to cut you off, but who was your coach, your instructor?
My coach was Carson Gracie at the time.
Actual Carson Gracie?
Yes.
Okay, so you went straight to the one of the main sources.
Yes.
One of the best guys to go there.
Oh yeah, that for me.
Who was in the room with you? Do you remember when you were training as a kid, like 16, 17? Who was there? Were any of the guys that
were the best? The
Vitor.
One of the best. No, Vitor wasn't there.
He was younger, right?
He was a blue belt. Like a juvenile was like guys like Otávio Peixoto, Carlos Rosado, Rosenthal, Fernando Pinduca, the guys that
I remember Pinduca.
The best generation till now at the time that Carson had. The guys was
the OGs.
Monsters.
The OGs.
But their generations they didn't become professional because they didn't have a market. So my generation was the first generation that could became a professional, and the market started growing around the world, not only in Brazil. So then some shows starts like UFC Pride. So and then
what do you think it was about Carlson Gracie's style of jiu-jitsu that made so many MMA fighters, right?
Yeah,
because
Carlson was a Vale Tudo fighter. He grew as a Vale Tudo fighter.
explain that for the audience that don't know what I know. Some of you, I know what it means, but I know for a fact a lot of you don't know what Vale Tudo is. So
yeah, Carlson was a Vale Tudo fighter. I don't know when he started to fight for sure, but he was very successful.
And Vale Tudo means basically.
But they didn't have a jiu-jitsu competition at the time. You know, his time. Just competition tournaments, I think, start in the 70s. Before we just challenge between, you know, some fights, I think, with Vale Tudo, maybe some with the gi. But they didn't have a federation. The federation.
But in Vale Tudo, there was striking as well, right?
Yeah, strike, everything.
Right. So
Strike,
basically
gloves,
MMA.
No gloves. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was MMA, no gloves and no rules, like a gentleman rules.
Everything goes.
Don't pull hair, you know. Don't poke eyes, something like that.
Yeah. Don't grab the balls.
Yeah. Keep the balls away.
Don't grab the balls.
Yeah.
Don't poke the eye. You know, don't put your finger in the nose. Unless I heard Hickson used to put his. I was telling one of my guys that I heard Hickson used to put his fingers in the guy's nostrils from the back to put it.
It's an old trick.
It works though.
I don't know if he did. I never saw, but we learned that, you know, the self-defense. To grab be able to choke. So pull the nose up.
So you're competing in jiu-jitsu, you're winning, you're on the podium all the time. What makes you take your first MMA fight?
So my first Vale Tudo fight, it was a 91. It was a challenge between jiu-jitsu and luta livre in Brazil. It was part of the old times that the disciplines had challenge among them, you know. So every fighter, they represent a discipline. So it was a challenge between jiu-jitsu and luta livre. I was on the main black belts at the time, you know, competing as a black belt, being the podium, winning a lot. And I kind of, you know, felt that I should defend jiu-jitsu, like put myself in line to defend jiu-jitsu, to represent jiu-jitsu, you know, if I was able to do it. I knew I could do it, and I did. You know, it was a kind of pay the price for everything that jiu-jitsu gave me.
That's crazy.
You know,
it's crazy to think. You know, like I'm gonna stand up and I'm gonna fight for jiu-jitsu to show everybody like we're better. Like that's crazy to think
no
about.
Money, no famous, no nothing, just a challenge.
Just
you know.
for the
It would happen inside the academy because at the time it was very hard to organize a show.
Yeah,
you know, so a Vale Tudo show was very hard to organize. In the end, they could do it. We found a producer that made it, and to make it better, it passed. It was a broadcast in the biggest TV channel in Brazil, and the main time, like Saturday night.
Wow.
So then after that, it was the jiu-jitsu explode around the country, you know. So everybody wanted to do jiu-jitsu because jiu-jitsu beat the 3 fights. Me, Fábio Gurgel, and Valide Ismail, we beat the guys from Luta Livre. And
those three right there, some legends right there. You got, of course you guys did.
It was a amazing experience. I wasn't. A lot of people, you know, they didn't have confidence on me because I wasn't the guy that fight on the street. I wasn't a fighter, you know, a street fighter. Like I fought on the street when I was a kid, but not anymore. Growing up as a teenager and, you know, being an adult.
Yeah.
I didn't fight anymore. You know, jiu-jitsu gave me the self-confidence enough to, you know, to don't need to prove anything on the street.
Right.
You know, the people that fight on the street, most of them, they are very insecure.
That is
and
true.
They have to prove something. So I proved myself from the tournaments against tough guys, you know. And because of that, people had doubts if I could even fight well. And for me, it was just a competition. I used to compete a lot, just change the rules a little bit, adapt myself. I started training boxing when I was 18 years old, just for fun. I like martial arts. I love martial arts. I train judo as well, and later for MMA, I train a lot of wrestling. So I love martial arts, and I started training boxing when I was 18 years old. And at the time of the first Vale Tudo, I was 24 to 25 years old. I knew a little bit of striking, and enough to help myself to,
you knew how to take care of yourself on the feet.
Yes. Yeah. When I started the business, the sport around the world, I was ready to go. I was completely.
Well, you summed it up. I mean, that's what I tell everybody. You have some striking, you have some wrestling or judo, and then jiu-jitsu. You know how to fight.
Yeah.
Where else is there you're gonna have a problem? There isn't.
Yeah.
You get good at all those three. You can and keep practicing, stay sharp. Did you when you were fighting and when you were competing, was it only martial arts training? Because you see, like nowadays, a lot of people are doing strength and conditioning. Weightlifting, swimming, cardio. Were you doing any of that stuff as well?
Working out. I start really, till the Vale Tudo, 91, I kind of didn't work out proper. It's more about training jiu-jitsu. I was a skinny guy training jiu-jitsu a lot. And then after 91, I started to do physical training. So, and then it improved a little bit my body, I could.
It only helps.
Yeah, only helps.
Right?
In the right way, only helps.
It only helps. I tell guys, because I remember back in the days when I first started doing jiu-jitsu and MMA, everybody was saying, oh, yeah, it's technique. It's technique. Yeah, but when you guys both have technique.
Yes, the endurance, the cardio, and, same level of technique, the one that has more strength and cardio.
The guy's stronger. He's lasts longer. Not necessarily that's going to be the reason he wins, but it's gonna help for sure.
Yeah, you're gonna get tired later.
Yeah,
right. So same technique, the one with more physical conditioning gonna get tired later. So then gonna have a better performance.
Yeah, that's why I think, like in your time, a lot of the guys weren't doing a lot of that strength and conditioning, right? They were fighting a lot. They were fighting, competing, training a lot in the gym. Whereas, as the sport started to evolve, now you got, these guys are doing, strength and conditioning in the morning. Then they have a massage afterward. It's like everything is
professional.
Perfect.
Yeah. I think my generation was the first one that start to realize that I have to, act as a professional in all.
Yeah, you have to take it serious.
Areas, take serious. So and then after that, I started to do physical training for jiu-jitsu tournaments. I returned to train jiu-jitsu tournaments. And when I returned to fight Vale Tudo MMA, at the time it was still Vale Tudo. In 96, yes, 96, I got an invitation. I was supposed to fight in 1995. With one member of the Luta Livre team that didn't fight in 91 because his opponent got hurt, injury. Marcelo Bering is supposed to fight Hugo Duarte, but Marcelo got an injury in his elbow. He couldn't fight. And then Hugo didn't fight, and I was supposed to fight in 95. But the fight didn't happen. The producer couldn't do it, so it never happened. And then I fought again in 96.
Against
Rio.
Joe Charles.
Joe Charles, yeah.
Submission, arm triangle choke.
Yes.
And he was an American?
He's American. He's much heavier than me, 260 pounds, something like that. I was about 200 pounds. So it was because I used to fight in jiu-jitsu with guys heavier than me. It wasn't something that bothered me.
It doesn't matter. Like I think a lot of jiu-jitsu guys can relate to that because doing jiu-jitsu now 21 years, I tell people like yeah, I have a certain group of people that I'm teaching now and that I train with now, but I've seen so many different bodies. I've trained with a guy that was 6'7", 400 something pounds. I've trained with a guy that was 7 foot, 260 strong world champion. I've trained with a guy that's 4'9", 125 pounds. I've trained with a guy missing a leg. You know, like doing jiu-jitsu for a long time, it teaches you how to handle all body types. Am I right?
Yes, you can adapt yourself using jiu-jitsu, you know, for any situation. So that's one of the beauties of the sport. You know, jiu-jitsu can help you to adapt yourself, adapt your game.
Right.
And you know, because I used to train with the guys heavier than me, and I used to compete in absolute class since I was a kid, I kind of didn't have any problem to fight bigger guys.
And absolute, for those that doesn't know, you could be a guy in a 160-pound weight class going up against a guy that's 300 pounds in the open division. So that it takes away that fear of, oh, he's bigger than me, and you know, like he's stronger than me. It didn't matter because you were already training like that. So when faced with that, it wasn't something that was going to be something scary for you, right?
Yeah, I never get scary because of the size of the opponents.
So that's kind of when it looks like your career really starts going, right? 1996, because you had been training, but then, you know, you're not finding these events to go to, right? And then 96, at that time, the sport's starting to get a lot bigger. So you go through Joe Charles submission. You have a TKO with Chris Hazeman, and then a TKO with Juan Mott. Then you come to a draw, then a KO. Then the UFC comes calling.
Yeah, I was trying to get in the UFC.
You were from the beginning.
Since the beginning, but it was very hard. I couldn't do it. So I got an invitation to fight in US in the Mars. That was a martial arts reality super fighting. That was a show between Brazil and Russia, and there was an 8-man tournament that I got in, and I fought in the final Tom Erickson. That was a big guy, like 300 pounds,
big guy,
a wrestler, like a high level wrestler, like a national team, and it was a 40 minutes fight, the third fight of the night. So it was the hardest challenge in my career, 100%. And after that, just, you know, made me stronger and more confident in my game.
Yeah, do you feel like, you know, as you were fighting, each fight makes you a little bit better?
Yes.
A little bit more prepared?
Yeah, as long as you know, I mean, as much you fight, you get better.
Because you go through that fear, you go through the fight, then when you go back to the gym to train, it's like, a lot more relaxed in the gym, right? Because you've gone through the war now. So being in the gym and training becomes a little bit easier. You become better. You're not, you know,
more confident.
More confident.
And control the feelings and, you know, everything.
So you win your first UFC fight, and this one's in Japan.
It was in Japan. It was in 2000. They invited me to fight. First, they invited me to fight to Tito Ortiz for the belt, but I didn't. I wasn't training at all. Just training jiu-jitsu and no-gi. It was kind of short notice, 3 weeks for the fight.
Oh, and so they were giving you a title shot.
Yeah, then. But I didn't have time to prepare myself. You know, so I made a deal with them, and they give me a fight before that, and then I fight for the title right away.
So let me ask you this.
After the first fight.
Just out of curiosity, if that fight would have happened at that time, I think, you know, especially with the level of jiu-jitsu you had.
Yeah, I had a very good condition to fight, you know, I could fight, but I wasn't prepared for the fight because I wasn't training, you know, specifically for MMA.
For MMA.
For you know, so I like to get in. Doesn't matter how hard is the challenge, but when I get in, I like to be ready to
prepared,
go. Prepare, feel myself prepared. Do the homework.
Yes.
The homework. You know, I always like to do the homework.
Yeah. So
all my career, it happens except one time that I fought Rampage in the 5-day short notice, but it's another story.
Anyway, we're going to get there too. Shout out Rampage.
But at this time, you know, I want to fight for the title, of course, but I want to get a prepared, So I knew I could do it. I knew I could get it, but I need a certain time to prepare myself proper,
Absolutely.
Because it wouldn't be fair fighting a guy that was on the road fighting, and I just arrived with 3 weeks short notice.
And it's
weeks.
for the UFC championship.
For the UFC championship.
I would like to get ready for that, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So and then I asked them. So it was John Peretti at the time, the matchmaker, and I asked him, so give him a fight before and a fight after that. A fight straight for the belt, But it didn't happen like that. I fought a Japanese guy in Japan, and then I won. And then I was my contract with the Japanese franchising company, not with the UFC straight. Worked like that at the time, And then the company, the Japanese company, broke the same year. They gave me more fight for me in Japan, but wasn't in the UFC, was in Pancrase against Sanai Kikuta, that one of the best grapplers in Japan. That he won the ADCC in 2000, I think so. But he won the ADCC 100%. And he was, at the time, the only fighter from Pancrase that accepted to fight me. And then we fought. It was a hard fight, but I won. And then my contract was over, and the Japanese company broke. And then I was around 1 year, no fighting. And then the Zuffa bought the UFC, and they invited me to fight the first show in Las Vegas against Chuck Liddell.
Chuck Liddell.
And then I signed up.
I remember that fight. I remember watching that fight.
Yeah.
So you, right off the bat, they put you with Chuck.
Yeah.
What are your memories of that fight?
Yeah, it was super tough fight.
He had good wrestling.
He has good wrestling and very strong hands.
And he could throw.
He hit like a monster. It was a hard fight, but it was the first time, because it was very hard to take him down. I took him down a couple of times in the first round. It was hard to keep him down. Keep him on the ground. He stand up, and he hit me. He knocked me down in first round. But I was okay, and it was the first fight that I could test myself as my striking game, and I think I did very well.
I think you did as well. I think you did at that time, Chuck was the man.
Yeah.
So for you to go.
Yeah, he came from 2 knockouts, one in Pride against Guy Mazur, one in UFC with Kevin Handeman. And I was 1 year, no fighting,
Yeah.
So it was.
And still, you struck with him. You did it all with him. And so that even though you lost the decision, I'm sure in your head you're like, okay, I can do this. I can go with anybody in any realm.
Actually, I think I won the fight,
Yeah.
And a lot of people think the same, But anyway, it was a good fight. My performance was good. It was a very good test for me. My striking game, it was solid. I proved myself. And the next fight, the UFC gave me the opportunity to fight Chuck again. After the fight, Dana White and Joe Silva went to the locker room and apologized about the results. They couldn't do anything. It was a commission from Vegas commission, that the Nevada commission.
They didn't know what they were watching.
They don't know nothing about MMA, so they know about boxing. So anyway, and they gave me the chance to fight Chuck or for the middleweight belt. So if I fight Chuck again, it will be a damn hard fight. And if I want Chuck, I have to fight for the belt with the Tito Ortiz. So 2 fights for the belt.
Right.
And I get a shortcut for the belt with the middleweight. I just had to drop. My weight was I fought Chuck with 90 kilos, like 200 pounds. 91.
So
the guys was 220. They cut the weight.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to cut the weight because I didn't have this culture in jiu-jitsu. We always fight with the same weight.
Yeah, whatever you walk around at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I first time I cut the weight was for the middleweight, was super easy, I didn't having to do that much. And then I felt very well, was a division that I was tall enough at the time, was very tall, long, good boxing. So, my game just
You went through Dave Manet.
Dave Manet.
And that was for the championship. That was a middleweight championship, and you TKO'd him.
Yeah, I TKO'd him.
And what was that feeling like? To win like you accomplished your goal. I'm sure you felt like you could do it from the beginning. This was in your mindset.
Yes, I actually, just have a shot. I just need a shot. I need a chance.
Yeah.
And it was I knew I could do it. I was there before them, and I was ready to go. And when I got a belt, my plan was to return for the light heavyweight to fight the guys.
Oh, so you wanted to be double champ?
Before
there was a double champ.
That's my plan.
Okay.
My plan was to return for the light heavyweight to fight them.
Then you fought after Dave Manet. You fought Matt Lindland.
Yeah.
Matt Lindland, for those of you that don't know, was on the Olympic wrestling team, right? He was one of the best wrestlers.
Yeah, at the time he was a silver medal in Worlds and Olympics.
Very good wrestler,
and undefeated.
And he was training with the Randy and Henderson, so he was a tough guy at the time.
Tough guy,
Let me ask you a question that I've heard rumors about, and this is a little bit funny, but did he smell?
I don't remember.
Yeah, Rampage always talks, and all the guys and Randy, they always say he used to not take showers before his fights.
My God. I don't remember. I was so focused, man.
Focused on winning the fight. Yeah, that for sure. But from what I heard,
is not nice. If it's true, it's not nice.
Well, hey, I've heard it. We've heard it through the grapevine from many different stories. But respect to Matt Lindland, he was definitely a tough fight.
Yeah.
So you submit him with the guillotine.
Yeah, I submit him with the guillotine.
One of my favorite chokes.
Yeah, but before that happened something very. I had 3 very hard challenges in my career. The first one was the fight against Tom Erickson. That's supposed to be 30 minutes. And after 10 minutes, the referee said, no more time. You're going to fight till somebody give up or submit or whatever. And then I was fighting a guy bigger, double than my size, bigger than me. It was super hard fight. I fight him pretty well. But I had to fight till 30 minutes. And then after 30 minutes, they gave more 10 minutes. So this was very hard to manage in my mind, during the fight, to fighting him and punching, get punched, and then after 10 minutes, the referee said, no more time. So, it's hard to manage.
Yeah.
The second was this fight that against Matt Lindland that I submit him with the armbar, the beginning of the fight, first round.
And he said he didn't tap.
Yeah, but I didn't stop because of that. I stopped because Big John touched my shoulder, my chest, when I was
breaking his arm.
Yeah, he touched me, just a release, and then Matt Lindland said he didn't tap. Big John didn't know what to do, and then he sent us, stand up, go to your corner. I said, man,
what the hell?
What the hell? I have to do it again?
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the craziest things to ever happen. You have him in a fully locked armbar. They stop the fight, and then it makes no sense that he says he doesn't tap, and then they start you on the feet again. Yes. You have to go through the whole process of getting back into that position.
Imagine the man, the mind of the fighter.
Yeah.
So I was completely frustrated, and I had to fight again. The guy's a tough guy, and get a new chance.
I just had him,
and first round, still have some time, and I kind of try to get back my focus, to return my focus, but it was super hard, and then second round, I could fight better, but third round I was sharp, and upset.
Yeah.
And I got him with the right, a knockdown, and then I punched him on the ground, passed the guard. I remember pretty well. And then he put a knee on belly, he turned, grabbed my leg to single, and I just, boom, guillotine right away.
That's one habit wrestlers have, is they go to their knees a lot. When I didn't wrestle in high school, I was going to. I started to be in the wrestling program, but I got kicked out of school. ninth grade, and I was getting in trouble and stuff like that. But I would have loved to wrestle. But one thing I realized, after 21 years, I've trained with some NCAA wrestling champions, some really good wrestlers. The one bad habit, they never want to accept the guard, right? They always want to jump up to the turtle position, so they give up a lot of submissions in those positions.
Yeah.
So okay, so you choke out Matt Lindland, then you go back to Japan. What happened? What happened with the UFC that you like? As why the
after Matt Lindland fight, I had a problem with the referee, so I wasn't happy. Actually,
with
I tried
McCarthy?
to renew. It was my last fight, and I tried to renew the contract before the fight because I got an injury in my finger that was infection that I couldn't train proper. And what I knew was my last fight in the contract, and I asked my manager to contact the UFC to renew my contract, but they choose don't do it. They didn't do it, so they wait for the fight. Maybe they were, betting that Matt Lindland could win the fight. Actually, at the time, Matt Lindland was a better champion for UFC than me because I didn't speak good English. I was an American and he was an Olympic athlete.
Right.
So for the show would be better, 100%. But
he got choked. But he got choked.
But I won anyway. And then they offered me good money, after the fight. But I knew Pride was paying a lot of money, and I went to check the market, check
and
it
plus,
out.
at that time, Pride was
Pride was
where the fighters wanted to be. Am I right? UFC
Pride was,
UFC's big now, but at that time era, I think Pride was bigger.
Pride was bigger than more
UFC.
money, and But anyway, I just checked the market, and nothing happens, and then I returned to accept. I get a, in my contract that I could do it. I didn't have to fight to accept right away the offer.
Right.
I have the right to check the market, and I did. And when I returned to accept the offer they gave me, they drop the contract, the value, for the same value, same amount that I received against Matt Lindland. And then I couldn't accept that. I got very disappointed because I thought I did a great job, and if I submit the guy, super tough guy, twice in the fight, the referee made a huge mistake, and then I could accept that, and then I said okay, and then I left, but I didn't have any contract signed, so I just left.
So you never lost the UFC belt?
No, I never lost.
Never lost? You're still the reigning middleweight champion of the UFC.
And then I have no contract. I just got completely upset with the situation. I could accept that. I thought it was was not nice from them.
No, it wasn't.
Use that. So anyway, and then I only signed with Pride the next year for the Grand Prix because my student choose. I was training at the time, 2003. It was 2002. 2003, I was training for the Grand Prix, middleweight Grand Prix in Pride, that I was waiting to be called. But they didn't because they choose my student, Ricardo Arona. Arona fought before in Japan. I don't know the reason, but they choose him. Okay. And then I stopped training. And then
Ricardo Arona was your student?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. My student and Ricardo Liborio, student.
Wow.
Our student. And then I start coaching, Minotauro was about to fight as well.
Minotauro Nogueira.
Yeah, Minotauro Nogueira.
Another legend.
Yeah, he was our student as well. And I was coaching them and helping them the training, but not training myself, not physical training or prepare myself.
So you're starting to take The fighter role at that point starts to become less for you, and you're starting to become a coach.
I always coach.
Yeah.
You know, I never stopped coaching.
Oh, okay.
I always coaching. I stopped coaching when I was to fight. Like my camp, during my camp, I didn't teach.
But other than that, you were
other
coaching
than that,
and
I was
fighting.
coaching every day. You know,
okay.
so because I wouldn't fight, I was just coaching them. You know, and having diet. Having, normal life, drink beers, partying with my friends, training a little bit, just, not that much, but more coaching than anything else. And I don't know, travel to Fighting Pride on Saturday. And Monday, he got an injury before we knew that, but when he arrived there on Monday, he left on Saturday, so 2 days to be in Japan. Monday, he arrived there. And then they said he couldn't fight because he got an injury. And they didn't have anyone to replace him. So from my team, they need somebody from Brazilian top team. So, but they didn't have anyone, just me.
Just you.
But I didn't want to fight.
Funny how that works out, huh?
I won't fight, man. I cannot fight, I'm not ready to fight. So, but, I just, it was a Monday. They called me on Monday. Saturday was partying with my friends, hanging out. And, I was supposed to go to Japan on Monday. But the weekend I was partying and having fun with my friends,
Hanging out. Yeah.
And then Monday they called me from Japan. Oh, the Japanese wanted to fight and replace Saron. I said, no way, man. Don't think about it. And then I arrived on Wednesday. And the Japanese, they push hard, and I was afraid that...
they knew once they got you there, they were going to persuade you.
I was worried because we had always a lot of fighters every show.
Yeah.
So I thought they could retaliate us, with...
Yeah.
So...
I've heard it gets a little crooked out there in Japan.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful kind of what you do with those guys out there.
And then, I made a good contract for a couple fights, and then I had to fight, and I fought. And then I fought Rampage.
Yeah.
With I signed on Wednesday and fight on Sunday.
Wow.
So it was tough. That's the toughest. I think that the toughest
I heard Rampage talking about this fight with you recently. He said I think he invented a way to get out of the guillotine. You had him in the guillotine.
Yeah, I had him guillotine. He tried to jump among the ropes, but the ropes stopped him. And then I was on my side holding his head on the side, and I couldn't choke. And then when I went on top, released the guillotine, and went on top. When on top, he was kind of completely devastated because he lost his breath. And because I was out of the shape, I was tired, but knowing that my opponent was in trouble, I give me energy.
Yeah.
And then I was going through, the referee stopped the fight because his short was untied.
What?
Yeah, and they stopped the fight for 5 minutes to
tie his shorts?
Yeah.
Wow.
5 minutes.
I didn't know that. I don't remember this, Rampage.
Yes. And then...
That's a long time to tie your shorts.
Yes. Around 5 minutes, the problems there. Blah, blah,
Get your air back, breathe.
And then he was in shape. I wasn't in shape. When the time that it was tied, he recovered his...
Yeah.
His,
yeah, of course.
His strength. And I was tired because... I wasn't ready, Yeah. So, and then he returned the position. I was his guard.
At least they returned the position in Japan.
But, he just had stamina back. He just stand up. Boom,
get right back up. Yeah, explode.
I couldn't handle. I couldn't hold him on the.
Yeah.
So different situation. Changed completely the situation of the fight. But anyway.
But these guys were all legends, and these guys all became UFC champions as well. That's another thing. You fought some of the guys that were the best.
Yeah, I fought the best guys.
The best of the best. Time. And I didn't want to.
And I was looking for that. I was looking to fight the best.
You wanted the biggest challenge you could take.
I wanted the best because I want to test myself.
That's amazing. Amazing.
That's my goal.
And you had an amazing career. I wanted to talk, about your career a lot. That's why I kind of wanted to dig into your biggest fights. You had one more really, really big fight. I know the a lot of the Japanese guys were big fighters as well. But you had another big fight against another legend, Dan Henderson.
Yeah, we fought twice.
Yeah. These guys that you fought were the who's of the time.
Yes.
You know, and
yes. And after that, after Pride, the guys went to UFC,
became champions.
All of them, and did a great job. You know, all the fighters. You know,
so you really did get to go against the best guys of your era. What was when you finally decided to stop fighting MMA? What was your reason behind? Were you not injuries, or were you not in it anymore, or you wanted to focus on?
Yeah, I got an invitation to fight in Brazil, a show in Amazonas, the AFC Amazon Fighting Championship. Royler fought before than me. Royler Gracie fought before than me. Paulo Filho fought before than me in the same show, and they invite me to be the main event. In 2012, March 2012. And I was choosing someone to fight, you know, like a big name, and then come up with the Dave Mene. So it was a good match, you know, it was a good fighter. So it was was world champion, you know, and could make a rematch. And we did, but it wouldn't be my last fight, you know. I didn't plan to be the last fight, but after that, nothing, you know, happens. I get a conversation with Japan, but wasn't working. You know,
just didn't
work and didn't happen.
So you never actually kind of like...
I was already 45 years old, you know, I think I went very, you know, and I never took anything, you know, no steroids, no nothing. My career was always clean.
Yes.
And my body was already, you know... And I have a conversation to Japan when I was around 50. I was still good to go, you know.
I bet.
Yeah, but I'm 58 now, and I still have the same weight, you know, same, of course, less muscles than before, but you know.
But you keep yourself healthy.
Yeah, I keep myself healthy, teaching, rolling a little bit, you know. So surfing, I try to do. Every day do something, you know, or work out, or boxing, or jiu-jitsu, or surfing, you know, keep my body active.
That's the one thing that I've been trying to figure out, right? Because I was, you know, coming up with Joe. I'm there in the morning class, the second morning class, come back, help him with privates, help teach kids class, train twice at night, jiu-jitsu, MMA. So I did that all the time. Now I'm 44. I'm getting a little bit older. Once a day is good for me, you know?
Yeah,
like
once a day.
And it's hard, especially like when you're as good as a guy like you are, and I feel like I am. It's hard to just give it up. I can't. You do start to see it though. Like, I'm not as fast as I used to be. Oh, I can't do the triangle anymore. It hurts my knees. Like,
you carry your old injuries. You have a new injuries as well. So
you know, and you get injured faster.
Yeah, you have to deal with your injuries. You know. So I got an invitation to fight with the gi in some big shows in Brazil. Boxing, whatever, but I retired, you know, my body. I think I had my time as a
fighter,
as a professional
and
fighter.
And you did it. I
did the best I could, you know. I went, you know, I
at the highest level.
Yeah, I could do better. I don't know, but I did what I could do. You know, I got some very good results. Some I didn't get it, but you know. I'm okay. I'm good to go.
You had a great career.
I changed the page. Like,
you
know, I use my experience now to help my team. To improve my fighters. Actually, I'm not working with professional fighters anymore. I quit. I'm not co-professional coach. I teach now. What I like to do is teach the kids. The class that I teach the most are kids.
Yeah.
You know, teenagers.
They're the
kids.
future. Yes.
Yeah, the future.
Yeah.
You know? So I use my experience as a professional fighter, a professional athlete, as being a professional coach, to help the new generation.
And that's the most important thing. Yeah. When you grow, as you grow older, that's the one thing that I've realized as I'm getting older is the most important thing in life. When you start to, you know, the wisdom starts to set in is I'm here to help people.
Yeah.
I'm here to be, a good person.
Yeah.
And that is to give back.
That's my goal. That's my mission now, is help people get in contact with jiu-jitsu and use jiu-jitsu in the personal life to help their lives. You know, jiu-jitsu did a lot for me, and I know jiu-jitsu is very important sport that can do a lot for people in general. You know, give a lot of benefits. You know, so you learn values on the mat. You know, a lot of how to get over
confidence, humbleness,
you know, discipline, respect.
Yes,
you know.
yes.
So
the full
empathy,
package.
you know, so the full package. So that's my goal, is teach people how to use jiu-jitsu to get better in life.
In life, and not just on the mat.
My goal when I start to create Brazilian Top Team, our goal was to be the best competitor, to build the best competitor. We brought maybe we were the first team to bring different coaches. We had a Muay Thai coach, we have a boxing coach, we have a wrestling coach that was a Daryl Goller, that was a high level. He was my coach when I fought many guys like Chuck Liddell. He was coaching me in my wrestling as a wrestling coach. Don Henderson, Matt Linda was, you know, that way. And I trained 8 years of wrestling, and I enjoy a lot. You know, I couldn't realize I would like training wrestling as I did. I had a lot of fun. You know?
If you love jiu-jitsu, you're gonna love wrestling too.
Yeah. So
they go together, right?
You know, and use everything to. I still teaching adults classes as well, but use all the knowledge, you know, to put it as experience and to help my students and help people that get in contact to me. You know, I teaching seminars around. Actually, I came for this trip to visit my academies in US. You know, so and then I was telling you, our goal in the beginning of Brazilian Top Team was to build the best competitor.
Yeah.
Now, my goal my mission is to help people to be a better human being. Through jiu-jitsu.
Amazing. Yes.
So in the process, you're gonna appear champions.
Yes.
You know, or not, whatever. But the most important for me, people with value, you know, the people with nice human beings to be around with, have a very good environment in my academy to bring people to feel. So I changed the academy that was a pack of monsters, you know, and the people was scared to get in the academy because just monsters and athletes and fighters, to academy. Now I renew my business, and I have an academy for the family. Kids, moms, paps, you know, and everybody train together.
For everybody. It has to be like that.
So everybody can enjoy together. The families can enjoy together.
It's so needed.
That's the way to go.
I think remember my time coming up, you know, you go to a lot of jiu-jitsu schools, it's nerve-wracking because you white belt, and you go there, everybody that's been training for a while wants to make an example out of you. And I realized that when I started teaching, I was like, that's not the way to go. That's not what I want to do with my new guy. I don't want this new guy to come here, get smashed by everybody, and go home and say, man, I don't want to do that again.
Yeah.
And so I think you're 100% right as far as, the jiu-jitsu needs to be for everybody. And
it doesn't matter because, you know, if you just concerned about competition, you don't give a chance for the guy that's out of shape to come, right? You know, to be a student,
or the 60-year-old woman that wants to defend herself,
you know,
or
for the mother that want to play with his kids on the mat, you know. So it's a little bit restrict,
right?
You know, so I think the most important of the jiu-jitsu nowadays. I'm not talking only about myself, but I think the marketing realize that, you know, many coaches realize that to receive more democratic, you know, to receive everybody and use jiu-jitsu the way people need it.
Not just
some people don't
not
have
just the
condition
fighter.
to train for a long time because they don't have a body type. They fat, they old,
Right.
But they can do self-defense. Some people just like to roll, but everybody can use the sport in the way that's gonna give them a very good
Lifestyle.
lifestyle.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's it.
One of my students, I saw him yesterday, and he told me, "Oh, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm starting my new job." I said, "My friend, you have nothing to be nervous about. You know why?" He said, "Why?" I said, "You do jiu-jitsu. You do jiu-jitsu. You have me, 225 pounds, 4th degree black belt smashing you. If you can deal with me and snake move and escape and breathe, whatever life throws your way, you're going to be able to handle it."
Yes,
Jiu-jitsu,
exactly.
jiu-jitsu saved my life. I came from, getting in trouble, going to jail, drugs, alcohol, gangs, all that stuff. And jiu-jitsu and MMA took me completely out of that stuff.
That is a saying that's a little bit cliche, but jiu-jitsu teach you how to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Absolutely.
So, and react under pressure. So when the people is smashing you, you cannot tap. Come on, you have to work out to release yourself.
My coach Joe,
So-
he said something just like that to me, like to translate to life, is like jiu-jitsu is a lot like life. Sometimes the guy's gonna pass your guard, mount you. He's got all his grips in, and he's choking you. That's the time you need to remember your jiu-jitsu and defend yourself.
Don't
Snake
stop
move.
thinking, like
Yeah.
life. Doesn't matter the job that people do, but in the very hard situation in your job, you cannot quit. You have to deal with that, the
absolutely.
situation.
You have to
calm
be calm,
down, think.
composure.
That jiu-jitsu teach you, in the
Be
bad situation.
methodical.
Yeah, think what I have to do to escape from here. If not,
Absolutely.
you're gonna quit.
I got one more quick question for you, and I feel like this is an important one. Jiu-jitsu, and I've been talking to this with my students a lot. Jiu-jitsu was not made for a competition. It was not made for UFC. Jiu-jitsu is made to be the best self-defense martial art, in my opinion. And it is, and it's proven that. The one question I have for you is for jiu-jitsu to actually work in a situation. I'm walking to my car. Somebody comes to try to hit me. Do you feel that that the schools, the people that are teaching jiu-jitsu should incorporate a little bit of MMA just so the people that are doing jiu-jitsu know how to use their jiu-jitsu in a situation where they actually have to use it, where someone is punching them or kicking them or whatever. But I feel like because of the evolution of the sport jiu-jitsu, the self-defense jiu-jitsu has been taken away a little bit. And you hear people saying, "Oh, don't train in the gi." Why not? Why would I not train in the gi when this is what jiu-jitsu is created for, is for self-defense? And if I take off my gi, then what about all the things I can do to someone if they have a shirt or a sweater or a jacket or pants that I can do? So my question is, do you feel like sport jiu-jitsu is kind of changed the way people teach jiu-jitsu a little bit?
Yeah, depend on the methodology and the curriculum of each one. In my curriculum, self-defense is very important. And I what I did during my career was a lot of self-defense inside the octagon, the rings,
Real self-defense.
So real self-defense.
Being
Jiu-jitsu
able to
self-defense.
use your jiu-jitsu.
Yes, how to help yourself, people in your guard hitting you.
Yes.
So that's how I teach self-defense on the ground. So it's very important because jiu-jitsu, it's not only about put a gi and play rolling on the academy. It's a lot of fun. It's super fun. But jiu-jitsu is to help in any kind of situation. If somebody gonna rob you with a gun, You're gonna use jiu-jitsu to stay calm, to don't react, to deal with situations that very hard.
Absolutely.
So jiu-jitsu can help you different situations, but especially in self-defense, because you must be prepared to different situations, like somebody gonna hit you or punch you or kick you, whatever. What are you gonna do?
Right. That's why I wanted to ask another legend, is because I want you guys that follow the show to remember, if you're teaching your students jiu-jitsu, just remember, that if they're actually you're doing them a disservice if you're not teaching them the self-defense aspect of jiu-jitsu, because one day, God forbid, they're out there in a situation, they see a lady getting beat up, or they're going to get beat up, and they're too afraid of the punching and the kicking or whatever the guy is doing to be able to use their jiu-jitsu because they've never practiced it with that element involved. Then how can I put on a black belt and tell myself I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt if somebody starts punching me and I get scared and I don't know how to use my jiu-jitsu anymore? So I just think, sport jiu-jitsu takes away a little bit of that, but I wanted to get your perspective on that.
No, for me,
it needs self-defense first.
It is in my curriculum, in my methodology. Self-defense is very important, 100%.
Very important. And you guys hear that. So make sure you guys are, if you're flying the jiu-jitsu flag, make sure you're practicing a little bit of the other stuff to make sure you can actually use your jiu-jitsu in a situation that's going to need it. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
the still reigning UFC middleweight champion never took it away, guys. It's been an honor today.
Thank you.
Murilo Bustamante, thank you for telling your story and your history. You're doing seminars now. Please if there's anybody you want to shout out or your information on how they can get into you, we'll also put his information in description of the podcast. If you want to get a hold of him, you're on Instagram for...
Yeah, Murilo Busta. That's my Instagram. All information of the seminars will be there. Everybody that practice jiu-jitsu are welcome to join us.
And feel free to check him out. And if you guys don't know, one of the best to ever do it, in my opinion, we've been blessed again to have another legend of Brazilian jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts in the house again. Thank you very much. It's been an honor. God bless you guys. We'll see you guys on the next episode. Peace.
What up, everybody? Quick second out of the podcast to shout out one of my sponsors. Man, after 20 years of jiu-jitsu and MMA, my body's messed up all the time. Shoulders, knees, back, neck, you name it. I only go to one place. They've been taking care of me for years, and they'll take care of you. Home of some of the best fighters in the world, best UFC fighters, best mixed martial arts fighters in the world. Kessler Wellness. Come check them out if you ever get injured. They're going to take care of you just like they take care of me. Come on in.
Hating on me. Hey. And I know it. Watching everything that I do.
Shout out to the homeboy Damo and Big Joker, Big Box.
They been watching, hating on everything I do. They don't wanna see me shining. They just wanna see me struggling, and I know it. They been watching, hating on everything I do. They don't wanna see me shining. They just wanna see me struggling, and I know it. I'm drunk all the time these days. It seems like I'm caught in a maze and trying to make it out with.
Man, I feel way better. Y'all come check out OC Fight Docs, Kessler Wellness. Appreciate you, Doc. You're the best in the business.
I guess they mad when you a grown man. They shoot you down in your homeland. Or you're facing life and got a program.
What up, y'all? Come check out my boys over here at the I Smoke. Come on in, man. We got everything here in Santa Ana. You guys come down to the shop, tell them Legacy sent you, and man, we got everything you can think of. Take a look around, bro. Go check out all the products, man. Y'all need to tap in with my boys. They look after us. They check the Convo podcast, and we love them. So support those that support us. All right, peace. West Coast.
Hi, this is Arash Hashemi. For over 20 years, My practice has been dedicated to representing people accused of crimes. There's no criminal case we don't handle here. From a simple petty theft to serious charges such as murder, I have the knowledge and experience needed to help guide you through the court system. Here at my firm, we treat you like family. We listen to your story, help you understand your rights, guide you through every step of the court system, answer your questions, and make sure you know what you're facing so you can sleep easy at night. If you or if anybody you know needs an attorney, remember, better call Hash.